So that's all here. This, I'll go over here. This we don't need. Business class.
Pauline, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Didn't you guys get So I was wondering, is there a mikvah here in this building?
No, there's one in town. There's only one in all, as far as I know, there's only one in Rochester.
Gotcha.
Yeah, where it is exactly, yeah, I'm not sure.
The temple in St. Regis?
Yes, thank you. Yes, that's where it is. Right now, I don't know how many Reform temples would have their own mikvah.
Right.
Possibly.
The jacuzzi would be fine.
Thank you. That's.
So you just have to make it form.
Good for me. Okay, so we will see if anybody joins us on Zoom. Did anyone join Zoom last week?
One person.
Oh, you did. Because you weren't feeling. Okay, well, we will see. Hattie told me that she's not feeling well, but she said she wasn't gonna join Zoom. Yeah, she said, obviously, myself. But it's here, if anybody wants it. I have some files to open up that we can look at. And also the one that I pass out, in case we have people on Zoom. So we're gonna be opening up this one. And we're gonna be opening up. And we're gonna be opening up. Okay. I think those are the only ones I need to open up. There. We'll keep the participants open because that'll help us see if anybody's in the waiting room. And we'll still wait another few minutes. Feels like a really long time since I. Yeah, but there were a couple weeks before then that we had no class, so it just feels like it was the end of September.
Which I think I appreciate really good acting a lot.
Yeah.
See, some animation.
Yeah, it does seem like that. I'm doing the next.
A lot of animation.
3. I'm doing this today and the next 2 after that. Do I remember what they all are? No. I know what next week says. After that, I have to open. That's okay.
I watched the first 3 episodes a few times. I finally was like,
I'm life cycles next week. I'm doing life cycle. We're doing the high holidays today.
characters and lore.
Cantor's doing. Oh, actually, I have it here. I have it here. So I do have it here. So, it's history. So next week I'm doing life cycle. The week after is a history lesson and then Cantor.
Okay.
Then Cantor, then just beginning with December back to me for prayer, folklore, culture, then Rabbi, then Cantor. Oh, then I'm in January. It's gonna go chapters. You want us to for next time? You can, all of them that are about life cycle. We're doing the Jewish life cycle. We're doing the whole life cycle next week.
Okay.
So.
There aren't,
There are, I think there are some, but, For the book, I'm okay if you can also read them after the fact. You should read them, but anytime that I'm teaching, you don't really need to read before.
Okay.
It's fine.
Next week, you know what, either one, this weekend probably, that's what I was saying.
I'm Pauline.
I'm Ren.
Hi. Welcome. Is this your first time here? Okay, well, that's why I hadn't met you. Well, welcome. It's always good to have new people and we have a new person in paper tonight.
Oh, what a time to jump in.
Well, they'd signed up a while ago and it was a name I had on my list, but had never come. But, did okay.
Yeah.
We'll, 7:15 now, we'll wait one more minute and then we'll see. This is a small group is okay. I'm okay with whatever it is. Sometimes when the weather changes and it gets dark early, it's harder to get out. All kinds of
My night vision at 3 p.m. So I can't go anywhere. Without people in the car.
It's not dark at 7 anymore, though, which is nice. In the morning.
Hello, welcome.
Things happened and I realized the current cat started freaking out and I was like, oh, yeah. And it was so weird.
My cat wakes up every morning at 7:15 will fail. And if he
Everybody on Zoom.
Saturday and it is, or Sunday, and it was like, it is 6. And I was like, oh, he's ready.
My life back in the fall is that Domino's is open for an extra hour. And so to celebrate the same time, I wait until 3 p.m., 3 a.m., wait for it to be 3 a.m. again, and then I order Domino's.
Okay.
When I college.
That's pretty good.
They just get paid an extra hour, usually. When I worked at 7-Eleven, they have savings was like, you just got
I did
every
not,
hour.
I heard sometimes runs cat, mine are the same way,
Mm.
so they were up nice and early, mine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't listen when you tell them, go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they were a lot less. No, I know, they're a lot less regardless.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, oh, nope, we're gonna, hold on just a minute. Welcome. We were just about to get started and then we'll wait. That's for coming tonight too. So welcome. And it's been a while. It's been a long time since I was here because we had a couple weeks without class and then Rabbi taught and then Cantor taught. And yeah, so you get me the next 3 classes. And today we're going to talk about the High Holy Days. If you did the reading, if you didn't do the reading, that's fine. There's the book has chapters on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. When we talk High Holy Days, we're talking Rosh Hashanah, we're talking Yom Kippur. Not any other holidays, festivals, really just those 2. I don't want to go through a how-to for holidays. Even if you're new to Judaism, you come, you see, or you can read about the how-to. I think it's more important for us sometimes to talk about the why and the meaning behind it, because it's so easy to just figure out the how-to. And I don't want anyone to be bored in class if we just talk how-to. There are a few important things that we can still go along with that, we'll start. I saw something, it wasn't somebody in the waiting room. I need a new co-host. Okay. You could have seen the little pop up this one. I do want to start with a shofar blast though. Have you ever heard the shofar? So what is a shofar? A ram's horn. Yeah. So sometimes they're small, sometimes they're big, sometimes they're twirly. What kind of a sound is it?
Long and it wakes you up.
It's long and it wakes you up, exactly.
Yeah.
It's, and when we think about Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, even before we delve into all these things that I want to talk about, it's a time when we maybe need that wake up call. It's a time even before Rosh Hashanah, sometimes for the whole month of Elul, the month before, leading up, there's a shofar blast each day. In Orthodox synagogue, or sometimes here too, and that we play around with the shofar more than we have it part of our service for the month leading up. But it's a wake-up call. It's a time to examine who we are. It's a time to look inside of ourselves. Why is gonna come up, but that shofar really is our wake-up call. And what kind of calls are there? How many different types of shofar calls are there? Do we know? So if we think to the service, and we have a shofar choir.
Yeah.
We are very, very blessed here to have Ilan Adar, because when he doesn't blow, most people blow a shofar and you hear this blast, but he plays the shofar as an instrument, and he has his whole shofar choir, and they play the shofar. But if in the middle of the service, how much, is it just one blast? What
No.
happens? No. There are three types of calls. The first one is a tekiah, so it's long, tekiah, this big long blast. The word tekiah, I was gonna write down exactly what I meant, that's okay. It actually means a blast. It's this blast, it's this waking up call. And our next type of shofar call is called shivarim. And it's made up of three blasts. Three blasts, shivarim. The word shever in Hebrew is a break. So we have three broken notes, almost as if we hear this blast and maybe there are some things broken. We can think about how that might be something we can think about as we go through. And our last call. Trua. The last blast is called a trua, and it's 9 really short blasts. 9 blasts. And then there's a pattern how they go, and there's actually a tekiah in between each one. But the word trua is actually this triumphal cheer. So we have just the wake up call, we have our brokenness, and we have our cheer. We'll come back to them later. But what is it that we need to try and think about for these high holy days? Think about what you might already know about the high holy days, if anything. So what is it, what kind of themes jump out? Harvest? Sukkot. But harvest is good. There's lots of Jewish holidays revolve around the whole agricultural cycle. Self-reflection, absolutely, because we now have to start this whole year, start it fresh. But what else? Renewal. So we're renewing ourselves. From what? big part of what we do as we're thinking about ourselves and what happened this past year and how we can be better and renew ourselves, comes this whole idea, not of thunder and blast. So we were talking about different blasts, but what are we trying to get rid of and do better from?
Our wrongs.
Our wrongs, exactly. So if we're thinking about our wrongs, the word in Hebrew chet, often it's translated as a sin, but it's not really. Chet is really more, I've missed the mark. I think archery, I didn't get that blast, that little spot in the middle, the bullseye. I'm off, I missed the mark. I did something wrong. So chet, if we think actually to our services, we have two types of confessions. We're gonna actually talk about them in a minute. But two types of confession. One is called al chet, so on these sins or these wrongs. But what is it when you hear the word sin? Is that what we're really thinking about for Yom Kippur, for Rosh Hashanah? Not necessarily, no. So if we look, and I actually found this really, I'm gonna send both of these articles to you guys. This one I really like. It's actually an interview with the author of this, the book is called We Have Sinned, Confession in Judaism, Ashamnu and Al Chet, Rabbi Lawrence A. Hoffman. I actually haven't read the book because I just found this article that's interviewing him, and I thought, like, I like it, so now I'm gonna have to find the book, but our misdeeds, our missing the mark, are really what we're thinking about for Yom Kippur. But let's go back to kind of go through that some. So in the divine, we have a divine element. We have God as our judge, but we're also judging ourselves. We are the judge of our actions. We are there, and so if we look at Nose Avon, which comes from Exodus 34, literally means to lift this sin off of us. And here Avon, it might be a better Hebrew word for sin, but that's not really what but it's not really that sin in Judaism is it's a burden. Maybe that's a better way to look at it. Sin or chet, you miss the mark, it weighs upon you. It's this burden you carry. So when it says no say avon, that God is the one who lifts this avon, this sin, it's like this burden comes off of you. So these things that you did wrong that we want to go back and think about. Maybe they're big things, maybe they're small things, or maybe there was a small thing that you've carried and you've made into something big and you're still carrying that weight upon you because you can't get rid of it. So that's one of the things that Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur can help us to lift that off of ourselves. The rabbis from thousands of years ago had a different metaphor for this sin, because the punishment was like a debt. Sin was more of a debt. So you had to collect the debt or to pay off this debt that you have. And so you're weighing these things that you do. Maybe you do good things to help balance and pay off the bad things. So your whole life is this balance of doing these acts of kindness and doing these things that you miss the mark. And according to these rabbis of old, one of the ways to do that was that your good has to weigh more than your missing the mark. But again, that's not so personal for us. We want to think about what we can do and how we can become better people. Before we, I just want one more thing that I thought was very interesting here, the Jewish version of view of sin versus the Christian version of sin. And since I know we have some people who were raised in other faiths, it might be kind of interesting to compare them. So classical Christianity sees people as flawed because of this sin of Adam and Eve doing the wrong thing. Judaism, so it becomes that that everyone is a sinner because you carry this weight. In Judaism, you are not a sinner. You do things that miss the mark. You do acts that maybe don't, they weigh on one side or another, but it's your actions that are looked upon. And maybe would be called a chit or a missing the mark or a sin, but not the person. And I think that's the fundamental difference of looking at sin versus through a Jewish lens, versus a classical Christian lens. And I think that was, I just wanted to thought that maybe something just to throw that out. So on our holy days, it's a good time for us to be in. It should be done maybe when we're done. On our holy days, over and over throughout Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we do these confessions, al chit and the ashamnu, and even 10 times on Yom Kippur, these sins are repeated, or all of these things to make this public confession. And in Judaism, it's different type of confession that when you would think of like a Catholic confession. Here, this is this public, everyone is praying together for all the sins that anybody possibly could do. And we do them all as a group, confessional. Each one, as we look at the Hebrew, ends with nu, meaning us. We all did this, whether we individually or we personally. Some even say that it's just a list of all the things that could go wrong so that we're aware of them, even if we might never do them. But these are things you don't want to do. And interestingly, the power of the communal confession is bringing us into the community, because the community is always so important with everything that we do. Different than your personal confession, because in Judaism, are you good to go if you just go and you say these confessions for everybody and then that's it? Or is there something else you really need to do that you should actually have to start with before you even walk in the door for Yom Kippur? And that's it. You have to go to a person. If you've wronged someone, God can't forgive you for what you did until you've spoken to that person and you've said you're sorry. Because otherwise it doesn't work that way. There is no one, oh, you're good, wipe the slate clean. You have to make that move and ask for forgiveness. And you have to go to that person. And we have this whole long time leading up to Rosh Hashanah, this whole month of Elul, to not just think about all we've done, but to make sure we actually act and go and say, I'm sorry for that, and I didn't mean to hurt you. And we're going to go to tshuva. Before we get to all of that, the steps of tshuva, of asking for this forgiveness, because when we've got some quotes we're going to look at. I wanted to look at, nobody's joined. So I wonder if I need to keep recording it, but we're going to look, and I don't need to share it because no one is there. Not this one. So we're going to look, and this is the other piece. This is from Sefaria, all about this Yom Kippur confession. But I wanted us to jump down, this is kind of long and I will send it to you so you could, because I think it is very good. But we're gonna look at the pieces of this Ashamnu. So the Ashamnu is called the short confession, but what it does is it has a piece for every letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And we're gonna go through them quickly, and then we're gonna go through them again here, to see what we might be able to do better. So Ashamnu, again, it's learning, you're learning your alphabet as you do it. And one thing we and as Rabbi Zohar says, the tradition is to hit yourself, but he likes to kind of pat yourself and love lovingly more than physically hurting yourself. But so the short confession is that we start with, we're not so stubborn. This Rabbi Zuta from years ago, it tells us somewhere in there when he was, but we are not so arrogant to think that we haven't made mistakes. None of us are perfect. We all did something. So we all need to say this so that maybe we didn't do all of these, but we collectively are going to go through all of these. So the list is here. It takes longer to get through the English, but we're going to look at this next piece, which goes through them and what they really mean. So Ashamnu, the first one, often translated as we are guilty, but it also means, to make it easier to see them, also means that we're culpable, that we too, this could happen to us. Maybe we're not guilty, but we're capable of being guilty. So maybe the first thing we have to do before we can heal or ask anybody else to help us heal is we have to acknowledge that we did wrong. So maybe this part of Shamnu, instead of saying, oh, we're so guilty, is maybe we just say, yeah, this could happen to me. I have to acknowledge that sometimes I do the wrong thing. So the next one with our bet is bagadnu. So we have betrayed. Interestingly, and Hebrew roots, because I love to make the connections and they're doing it for us here. Bet gimel dalid, the same root from bagadnu, is the same root as cloth or cloak. So it's almost as if we could all be clothed with doing something. Here they're saying, how have you been disloyal and to whom? By covering things this year. So you're covering up maybe your mistakes and we can get rid of them instead. So here, covering our bodies with clothing or covering our true intentions and hence acting treacherously. Gazalnu, with our gimel here, is we have robbed. The root can mean to rob, seize, or tear away. So instead, we can ask ourselves, how can I replace, restore, or mend this year? Putting different spins on it. Dofi. So it's dibarnu dofi. We have spoken slander. We don't really have a day to talk about lashon hara, but lashon hara, harmful speech and gossip, comes up. It will surprisingly how many of them these sins are against speaking against other people. So how can we, because we're all guilty of saying something at some point, so how can we do better with that? So ha'avinu, oops, I went too fast. Ha'avinu comes from the root alif vet nun, trouble or sorrow, as well as sin or wickedness, like avon. So here we have sometimes caused avon, he has sometimes caused the sin or the wickedness or the sorrow. So Ish Avon in the Torah is a person who is a troublemaker. So we've all at times probably been some sort of troublemaker. We can hope to do better. Vihir Shanu, the Hebrew word ra, which is often translated as evil, it can also just mean bad. It can also mean harm. So here it's this form of the word of that root that we have caused the evil or the harm or the badness. So what can we do this time to not do that again? Zadnu, to behave arrogantly or presumptuously. The boiling up in there, what is boiling up that I can maybe turn down to a simmer so it doesn't boil over? Hamasnu, we have been violent. Then sometimes it can be physical violence or ethical wrongs that we have done, word or deed. Tefalnu sheker, again back to Lashon Hara, we have smeared with lies. The root here could also mean to plaster over. And so we don't want to plaster over any types of lies that could be said, even lies of omission. We want to open them up and get rid of them instead of covering them up with plaster. Ya'atznu ra, we have counseled, advised evilly or harmfully. So now maybe we can give good counsel. Kis avnu, we've lied or we were false. Moving along, that there's a lot of stuff there. I'm gonna skip down because I want to before our time goes too much. I want to get to the to making amends, but we're halfway through the alphabet. So Latznu, we have scorned or mocked, and we don't want to diminish ourselves by doing that. Moradnu, rebelled. Niatznu, spurned or shown contempt. And we spend our energy in gratitude and not contempt. So Raranu, also another version of rebel, like Maradnu, can be translated as rebel, but this is a quality of being rebelling as stubbornness. So try to be less stubborn. Avinu, we're getting closer to the end of the alphabet. Avinu is again back to Avon here with an ayin. Avon, it's to make sure that this iniquity is comes back to this balance and to paying off our debts. Hashanu, transgressed. In modern Hebrew, it's also a felony, like Avon, Pesha. It's not just to the sin itself, but it's the guilt or the punishment that goes with it. Sararnu comes from adversary, to treat others as adversaries. How do I treat myself, others, and God as adversaries? Try to make better friends and allies. Kishinu Orav, we have stiffened our necks and been too stubborn. Rashanu, we have done evil, we have done harm. But what could that mean? There's a whole long piece here that I don't want to spend our time reading all of these. Ta'inu, we have erred, we have made mistakes. Ta'inu, and then there's titanu, which comes from the same root. We have caused or led others to go astray when we have gone astray. So instead of focusing on, hopefully nobody's been waiting for us now, nobody's waiting yet. So instead of focusing on all of these things that we ourselves probably did not do, let's focus on Shuvah. Shuvah is often translated as repentance, but the Hebrew word Shuvah means to return, to come back, to be back to this starting place so that we can start our year fresh and having not done the same thing that we did before. We're gonna make mistakes, but let's not make the same ones. Let's have learned from it. And when we ask for forgiveness, let's mean it. So that gets us to the point that it becomes more interesting, hopefully, and not just me talking. But I have quotes, and if you've been here before, you know that I like quotes. They're all about tshuva, returning, doing better, asking for forgiveness. So we're gonna get into smaller group, maybe groups of twos or threes, however you want. Even 4 people could work together. And you're gonna read through all of these. And you're gonna talk about them and find the ones that you like, that you don't like, and try and figure out what they're all about. And if you need a pencil, I have pencils. Probably be doing this when you sitting in front. Need pencils. I'll get there. Does anybody else need a pencil? Yeah, in groups of anywhere 2, 3, 4s, you're gonna talk about, yeah. Share, well, or to try to understand if there's some that you don't wanna understand, or if you wanna pick apart, and to talk about which ones you like and what they might mean to you, yes. Because it works much better when you are with someone than if you're just reading these all by yourself. So yeah, you guys can get up and move around and, yeah.
That's what I was looking at.
To shoot like, even for one role. It's not like there's one thing you
Well,
apologize for.
yeah, I feel bad.
The entire.
Feel bad, that's why I'm
Really
sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like.
Yeah.
that.
I feel like it just requires the research and revisit it and know, and like continue, it's a continuous process versus like.
I guess there's admitting that it's gone wrong, which is sometimes hard to do with a marriage partner.
Well, you know, it's,
Back into like, I didn't realize it how far.
yeah.
Yeah, because they're with you all the time.
I was like,
Remember?
this choice must not be on.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Feel safer.
But you would admit that you didn't feel bad about the hurt you caused,
Right.
you know.
Right, you don't want to
You did his favorite drink or something like that.
I like this one, because like, you can't do it by yourself,
Cigarettes.
or you could.
So, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. You're looking all over for a long time.
Friends, whatever.
Right?
And you look at
When
them,
I first started.
What about,
I'm like,
you-
not gonna like.
two ahead.
so, I mean, what about the letter?
Not to read it too much. So that
Yes, I remember something. I
I only know the way I have gone about it. It doesn't say the way
Trying to
he's
teach
gone.
David. So it's very much like he kept wandering off.
Yeah.
I know what you're
But
gonna
he got ice cream for weeks.
Oh, I didn't do
You can't slap me again, Dave.
Yeah, right. But you do, you feel bad.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Also the way that like, when we make choices more intentionally, like we have the security backing it.
Then you have the-
active choices. that we're
This is
making.
Jewish law. You have to ask the party you were wrong to forgive you. You know, and sometimes, and if they don't, that's a problem. Yeah, I forgot what the remedy is for that. But,
I also, I just wanted to confirm, like,
180 an hour.
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, I'm never gonna.
there's gotta be more to it than I'm seeing.
Yeah,
But also,
yeah,
I do think when
yeah, any kind of
I had like
betrayal.
things that I realized
That when you betray someone,
that it
I
helps
remember they
me
were interviewing.
see that same thing in everybody
Ask
else.
them what was the worst thing.
As I work through it, I have that.
Yeah.
And even if I just realize like, when doing these activities, like, I'll realize, oh, I have been hurt in that way, and I know how to bridge those emotions.
So make sure you.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah,
when
another part,
in a
political
bridge,
party or something, actually promise.
caught up in the resentment without having to try like forgiveness, you're not able to like maybe even see the truth about what you experienced.
Yeah, definitely.
Once you get that, you have to earn trust down the process,
Yeah.
right? And get better.
Some things, like I said,
It makes things.
Right.
No, I don't think.
I don't know if there's
the
anything
worst thing, well,
that was
in
saying,
marriage,
but
if people
it's
are
one sentence, so I had to struggle.
betrayal,
Yeah, I like that.
seldom is ever
Especially
forgiven.
since like.
Yeah, and you would have to, I never did.
Well, you know, kind of.
Shallow.
Oh, wow. I thought that was the right person. Yeah.
Also, I didn't realize I never had it to offer, so I can see that.
Yeah.
Work it out.
Sometimes, you know, it's a bit rhymes. It's just a lot of the adding.
Yeah.
So once you become aware of what that is, instead of just acting, then it helps people. It's not work, it helps people make that part right. So then nobody's else wants to do it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, if the two people actually still, you know, made a mistake. Yeah.
You know what
you're saying, there's not two pieces of rope there.
I'm sure his citizens.
So you have to have some questions to, and you have to bring that out.
Right.
It's really
Have you saved it?
And hearing the way that she talks about
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
her,
Yeah.
when she described growing up in.
So it's just like,
And she has like very negative portrayals of it.
Yeah.
you know, so, but,
And then
you
at the
know,
same time, she talks very highly of the spiritual aspect of it, but very like.
Yeah.
I really get to know like what is.
Yeah.
I
know the
What
way
is the mystical, like, you know, like. There's such a mysticism in there, like I wanna know more about like what that. Like, because I think it's still like there. Yeah, it's like in the culture, it's not like. I couldn't really find a good one about it, but like.
Yeah, I mean.
When there's lots of rules. Like,
You're in the
as kids,
business.
like, all the rules are like,
So this is where. Yeah, so then this is something that happens.
Accepting responsibility.
And then here it is.
Like it should be a continuous process, it can be like every day, you should be like thinking about how you something got
Today is one day before that.
But like,
Perfect.
I read that and I was like, oh, that's so
Kind of
funny.
about-
Very much
Yeah.
like, yeah, but I don't get to, you should be. Yeah.
I read it like about being on like the website and being like, oh, might as well do it now so I don't get in trouble, but that's like the Christian thought.
Yeah.
So she said she couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I'll have it here next.
I do like, I live in a
You can't make any
So it's
promises.
like when you know who you are, because it's different. Oh, that's it.
Pauline, Pauline, one question.
Yeah.
If you have offended a person and you ask them to forgive you and they refuse, what is the Jewish thought on that?
To ask them 3 times and then if they still refuse, then you've done your part.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
You also have to ask the rabbi to convert 3 times, so is that him forgiving you for not being
Yeah.
Jewish?
No, it's more so that you are sincere about
Oh, that's better.
the process, and it's not just, oh, I want to convert.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's-
I like drawing a lot of conclusions, that was mostly
Yeah.
silly, but.
Yeah, and Reform Judaism, every answer is good, and there are lots of ways to look at it, so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you had some,
Something I thought was interesting was the word Ra meaning dad, because one of the Egyptian gods is named Ra.
That's true.
And I was like, I wonder if there's any connection remotely, or, but also R is associated, the sound R is also associated with bad things in a lot of
you pay it all back.
Yeah, it's weird. It's all over the place.
Yeah,
So lots of sounds, so is Z in some cultures too. So
You have cheated.
Okay.
like the number 4 is death in Chinese.
Somehow in business or
So the
whatever.
number 4 is like bad luck in
Okay.
Chinese culture a lot of times.
Before you can be forgiven, you
Yeah.
have to pay it.
But I don't know, because the Hebrew and ancient Egypt all interacted,
Right.
but Ra is.
Well, I guess what I'm kind of wondering is in the way that specifically what I thought of is the main, in the movie The Prince of Egypt, the main god they portray as the evil polytheistic god is Ra. And in that movie, they portray Ra as being kind of like the head, which in Egypt isn't necessarily the case.
Was Ra, that wasn't the sun god. Ra is the sun god.
Yeah, but in the way that the music and that scene was made, very much kind of brought Ra out there, accentuated that like phrase.
Yeah.
And so the music made melodically it all comes together to kind of say Ra is bad. But I'm wondering if even just in the movie they had been thinking, well, this is the word for bad in Hebrew, let's portray it.
Don't.
But now I have to go to a
Now
whole
you have to
class.
go find out. Yeah. But again, we make connections all over the place. Yeah.
They call it Mr. Dreamer.
Do that.
They
You
might
have-
say there's
You might get hold for days.
no, there's.
I have a question about that thing you did right before sex. And then what people talk. I remember you started saying
So let's all gather back and share some of our thoughts
You know.
together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good that we're all talking, because I felt like everyone was very quiet in the first half of that. And threw me off. So let's share what did these make you think of? Which one resonated with you or did not resonate with you? And who wants to start? Ellen.
On this one that says, be sure to make
Shuba. Mhm.
Monday before your drive.
Yeah,
But because you never know the day it comes back. So
Right.
it should be pretty quick. So if you do that.
Yom Kippur, the community. Because not everybody's gonna be doing that, and it's your job to be part of the community, because all of our sins that we already talked about were all and they're all communal. So, but yeah, but you, I mean, you always wanna be the best person that you can be. You always wanna try and do as few of these wrongs as possible, so you don't know when when the end is coming, and yes, you should make tshuva the day before you die, which means every day. But there's still something. And we aren't gonna be so arrogant to say that we didn't sin, so that we're not gonna not go to Yom Kippur. And that's where we see our friends, and we can be with them, and it's another big piece. It's just the community. Thank you. Jeff, you had your hand up. Did you want to share?
Sure.
Okay.
My son is reading Maimonides, so I was drawn to that, and we all seem to kind of identify with that description, because he boils it right down to the basics. Say, this is what it is, and this, the choice has to be a change of will and not afraid or some kind of weakness.
Yeah.
It's pretty fundamentally basic.
It is.
That seems to be-
It is. You get to the situation again, and what are you gonna do? You have to change your ways and not do it, right? It's different than the little kid who says sorry and runs away, and yeah.
That was mine as well,
Yeah.
cause that felt for me like the one that is the most actionable.
Mhm.
Multiple times a day, I feel like a situation like that, like comes up and you have a choice of whether you're gonna repeat like a maladaptive or a harmful behavior, or you're gonna maybe be a little more uncomfortable and change the behavior.
And even just recognizing when you get to that situation is already halfway there. Even if in the end you can't change completely, you have to be aware. So recognizing it and then doing your best.
How does restitution fit into that?
Well, if you've done something wrong to someone, you ask their forgiveness and you pay them back for the damages that you caused.
Is that absolutely necessary though for forgiveness?
maybe it depends on what happens. If you broke somebody's window, you know, if you're a kid, you're playing baseball and you break somebody's window and you go, sorry, that's not quite enough. Maybe you need to pay them back.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe it depends on every situation. But a situation like that, yeah. I mean, it's not enough to just walk up and say, oh, I'll never do it again if their window is broken. Yeah. Anybody else?
I was the one where it talked about the a complete or abrupt change or smaller changes.
Mhm.
Because it can be small changes, it can be small adjustments, small, and then altogether, all those small things become something bigger.
Yes, they can, absolutely. And the big step is just, sometimes it's too daunting. I could never do that. And yet, if you do the small things, you're there. Yeah. Yes.
I'm looking at this section where it says, speak to the Israelis. When a person commits a wrong to another fellow human being, thus breaking faith with the eternal. That means, or I interpret that anytime a person wrongs another person, they committed a wrong both against the person and against God.
Well, personally, yes, because I'm one of those people who finds a spark of God in every person. So if every person is made in the image of God and has a spark of God inside, then anytime you wrong a person, you've wronged God.
So that entails a confession to both.
Well, but I think that if you wrong a person and you ask forgiveness for that person, then God is already part of it. You don't have to ask specifically to God because it's already happened. Yeah. And that's just me, but.
I like the one about the two people lost together and then finding a way out together, because it, to me, is like improvement comes through other people too. You can't just do it by yourself. Some things you probably could, but like when you find someone else who is lost, you don't want to keep looking for a way out yourself. You want to work together to get out.
Absolutely.
And I liked that a lot.
Yeah, I like that one a lot too. Yeah. And then you already know that the way that you went and the way they went, they don't work. So you have to try something else together. And it, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anybody else? Were there any of these that you didn't like?
All right, I'll admit, I didn't like the one that you just brought up because, and it not because of the message, but I'm just not one for allegory.
But okay, that's fair. But you know, and then the beauty is that we each learn in different ways, and then we can go ahead and think about at Passover with our Seder, and we have the 4 different types of children and how everybody learns differently in different situations, and this is the perfect example of it. We all find one of these that speaks to us in a different way, and that same one you spoke to each of you completely differently, and yet we can all learn
I
different
mean,
lessons.
honestly, hearing you explain it made it seem a little bit better, just on its own.
And that's okay. And that's okay because we all learn differently. And that's one reason why it takes a whole bunch of these quotes to try and understand what we're doing, because each one speaks to someone else. Yeah.
I like, I'm not gonna say right, teshuva, makes you stronger, or a rope that is cut and retied, doubly strong, so people make mistakes and learn from it.
Exactly, I love that one, yeah.
That's my favorite one too.
Yeah, because we do. And when we learn from it and when we change our ways, then it makes us stronger. Yeah, turns us into something else.
Tell you what bothered me about that one. I don't know if a retied rope is stronger than the first one.
Okay. Okay.
I know a lot of knots and slip.
Okay.
To me, it feels like if you use the correct not there, if you're moving forward in the correct ways, then you're not going to make that same mistake again. And in that point, at least for that specific spot on the rope, then you're moving forward in a way that is strong and is backed by conviction, and in a way that's even better than doing the right thing the first time, because you understand more like the reasoning behind that and like the harm it causes.
That was great, thank you. Yeah, because you might break another piece of the rope. And if you make that mistake because your rope wasn't strong enough, well, then maybe you still need to learn more to make the right kind of knot. In order to make the right kind of knot, you have to really mean it and really change. Yeah, that's great.
I kind of was confused by the one that says whenever one person truly repents, the whole world is forgiven. I kind of extrapolated a bit. I think I just wish there was more words of like the whole world is forgiven by that person or just in general. But I kind of was thinking the way that when one person truly repents, the way that and this is more in a specifically a mindset of a 12-step recovery approach to amends, is that if they repent, they're working through their resentments and they're then able to forgive other people because they've been forgiven. And so it's not the whole world is just blanket forgiven. It's that person who has had the opportunity to repent is now able to have the compassion and empathy to forgive other people and also help them not do the same things.
Yeah, like dominoes.
Yeah.
Or butterflies, or however, whatever kind of effect you want to look at. But yeah, it changes because one person then is going to change someone else and someone else. And there are other places in the Talmud though that talks about that every person is a pure world. You know, that it says if you save a life, it's as if you saved the entire world. And if you take a life, it's as if the world were destroyed. So here it's almost, you know, every person is a world. Yeah.
I find kind of difficulty going back to ones that I didn't care for is the 4-step one, maybe just because it doesn't feel like emotional in any way. And for my like Christian background, it's kind of reminiscent of like the whole ABCs that they teach you. Okay, so like in Christianity, the big thing is like ABC, you admit that you are born into sin, you believe that Jesus died on the cross, and then you're choosing to follow God. Like
I've never heard that before. Okay.
And it just kind of reminded me of that, which kind of puts me off a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to like understand kind of, like, is it just more of like a guideline of this is what you should, okay.
It's a guideline, because otherwise, what does it mean? What do I have to do? And some people need that. They need to know, okay, what are you gonna do? You're gonna do 4 things. First, you've got to, you know, I admit this and tell somebody. Then you've got to feel bad, and you know, and while you're doing that, you have to really feel bad. Don't just say, oh, sorry, like the little kid. And then you have to ask for forgiveness. Oh, I broke your window. Please forgive me. Here, I'm gonna pay for it. And then you have to accept responsibility, not do it again. And make sure really that the way that you know that you've got it and that you can move on is when you don't do that same thing again. Yeah, it's just some people need, they need to follow, just like we all learn differently, we all figure out how to do things differently.
I do like that asking who you have wronged to forgive you before, it comes before asking God to forgive you, like you need
Well,
to.
absolutely,
Yeah.
you can't, I mean, that's how the whole piece of Shabbat, because you can ask God for forgiveness all you want, but if you don't ask for the person,
But it doesn't do anything.
it doesn't mean anything.
Way more meaningful. I had never heard of ABCs, but I was raised Catholic. I'm sure my partner has, who was raised fundamentalist Baptist. And I think when I struggle sometimes with like the idea of like repentance and like sin, because it's very easy to fall back into you were born flawed and evil, really. And so, but there's this belief, I think, in some areas of Christianity where, well, all you have to do is say this thing or believe this thing, and then you don't have to have any behavior change, right? They say, well, you should be inspired, but that's very nebulous. And while they're forgiven, so they're covered. So it is kind of difficult to read about confession, made me kind of feel the same way. The way I was raised, you were supposed to go weekly, right? And literally have someone tell you like what to do, which had nothing to do with really repenting to the other person. It was,
It's for show.
yes,
for
yeah, it's
show.
very
not-
performative.
Yeah.
And so for these, kind of thinking that, well, if you're forgiving somebody or the thing with the knot in the rope, that if you are like a flawed person and you can forgive others, hopefully you can inspire other people
Mhm.
to act with more compassion and more empathy and more understanding towards you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I just came off from that.
I saw that less as a to-do list, as more like, this is what almost like the, the stages of grief.
Mhm.
Okay, you're gonna probably go through this, and then what's probably gonna happen is you're gonna do this. And I don't know, maybe.
No, that makes, that, absolutely, and again, we can each read it differently, but I like that a lot, because, yeah, this is the way that you can follow through and, yeah. Any final thoughts? No, but thank you. Next week, we're gonna be doing the Jewish life cycle. We're gonna do all of the life cycle in an hour. We'll see if we can do it. Yeah, but it's interesting because at some point, we're gonna talk of at least one of the Jewish takes on that Adam and Eve story, and it's completely different. So that's just
Looking forward to it.
coming up. Yeah, it's at least the way that I always read it and interpret it, it's not said. You made a mistake, you did wrong, so, yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that next week. I know there are chapters in the book about life cycle. It's up to you if you would like to read them or when you would like to read them. I think there's some really good things in here, but it's also a big section. You don't need to. I also, I didn't put this on my book list that I have on the drive yet, but I will. This, the Tapestry of Jewish Time, Rabbi Nina Beth Carden. I like. This has really good information, but it's a little dry. It doesn't really give you I didn't find it inspiring. I found it very helpful and very useful. And I thought, you know what, this is a really good book to have, but this is, it's got a question things, makes you question things. And I think that's important. We will try and do not so much of just all the what we do, but maybe why, and we'll go through a little bit. And if you have questions, or if there's any questions that have come up in other classes too, just let me know and we'll make sure we fill things in whenever. So yeah, next week is life cycle, and the week after I'm also teaching, and it's gonna be history, starting from the very beginning up through, I think, the expulsion from Spain. It's a really long history, but we'll do this. In 1 hour, yes. Thousands of years of history in 1 hour.